is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
It's Sunday night, and of course, where else would you want to be except for the longest running series that we've ever had on RaceSpot. Welcome to Summit Point. Welcome to the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Will Vincent here along with Connery Maddock. Summit Point here, Connery. It's one of these tracks that we don't race all that often outside the Rookie Series. It's a hard one, but it's also one that will be very interesting. It's not a double header, like what we see on that.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, it's going to be a 30-lap event as we see the first qualifying times start to go up on the board. Number 2, Philippe Lebert, is currently leading the way. Provisional pole right now. We'll see if that one changes in quick succession as the rest of the drivers will head their way across the line. It is lone qualifying here. No open qualifying shenanigans to be dealing with. 2 laps to get yourself the time on the board. But the thing is, at this racetrack, once we get to that race, that is certainly going to be very interesting considering how tight and twisty the middle sector can be from turn number 5 all the way through to turn number 7.
Indeed, so give us a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is. You're completely right there, Connery. And the thing about this racetrack is that it is one where the first couple of corners, you're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing through 1, through 2, through 3. Then you single file until the final quarter.
Or rather, it's recommended to be single file until the final corner.
Yes.
Sometimes that doesn't exactly work out the way things are, well, things that are recommended. So we'll see how the battling goes on throughout this event as the drivers are actually just about to come out to complete their second qualifying laps right now. The first of which will be Johnny Giundi, currently P number 2. Will he be able to improve? That's going to be a no. Adecopa Lopez, though, will be able to improve. Gets himself pole position over Leber.
Yeah, Philippe Leber across the start-finish line cannot improve. And so Adecopa Lopez has pole position for the time being. There, your top 15 on the left-hand side of your screen. Copa Lopez, Leber, Lockwood, De Freitas, Zazo. Fahim Atanides, of course, he's such a star now on Monday Night Skippies. He's done so well this year. He's in P7.
Yeah, exactly. And P7, very good starting position as that drops down to P number 8. Still a decent starting position in a field that is this good at these Skip Barber racing machines. Justin Tipton actually gets himself up into P number 3 right at the dying moments of qualifying there. That was cutting it close there, Tipton, but he gets himself the position.
Yep, let's have a look then at your starting grid for tonight's event. And it will be Adecopa Lopez. Pole position, 119.954. Philippe Leber alongside him on row number 1. Justin Tipton inside row 2. Brian Lockwood on the outside of that second row. Then it's Arjen de Freitas in 5th. Turan Turan in 6th place. And then you got yourself Porsche Zazo, Fahima Tanides, Johnny Gindi and Paul Malokas there, Connery, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, even further back, you've got Andrea Amon, you've got Diego Francisco, Jordi Lopez Jr., you've got Jordi Lopez Jr., in fact, and Edwin Valerino, P number 14, Enzo Cantor, P number 15, Greg Seitz, Chris Malcolm, Brian Duell, Simon Edwards, and Michael Cornick will bring things down to P number 20. So they're very, very well-known names in the Skip Barber community here representing. And what else do we expect from the 2K series?
Yeah, not the biggest field, but that's not the fault of the drivers not showing up. It's the fault of the fact that there's only a certain number of grid spots available at this racetrack. 1 pit stop required in this event, as you always have in the 2K World Cup. The field is beginning to line up now. Now, turn number 1 at this racetrack, Connery, biggest passing opportunity.
Yeah, fairly heavy braking zone at the end of a long straight. That is where you're going to see most passing attempts on this racetrack. And it's going to be pretty congested coming down into turn number 1 for the first time as well, as it is a pretty long run, so drivers can set themselves up for moves pretty fast coming off the start here.
Well, that's the start then. In towards turn number 1. 2 wide, 2 deep, Connery.
Yeah, 2 wide, 2 deep, 1 for P number 2, the other for P number 4 further back, but they will drop single file and in line. Philippe Lebert pushing a little bit wide there, coming through the wagon bend. Turn number 3, down through the chute now. Turn number 4, and set yourself up for the brakes down into the heavy braking zone into turn number 5, and then keep yourself to the inside line, coming all the way through here. Such a slow speed section, but everyone's single file, at least inside of your top 20 or so cars. But further back though, you do have cars going side by side. Paul Malokas has had an absolutely horrible start. He's down from P number 9 all the way down to dropping outside the top 20 as there's 3 wide behind him. Mike McCormack involved in that one, and there's a car off as well, heavy into the wall. Rob Adams in the 99.
Yep, we've had a number of retirees out early on as well. Fahima Tanides out, Enzo Cantor, Carlos Feno. I wanted to see if we can get a replay of this one and show you what happened to some of these drivers again from the race start. Let's have a look then on board of Fahima Tanides as he works himself in towards turn number 1. We can't actually no. I think some of these drivers, I take that back, had themselves penalties, so I will take that one back. We do apologise for that one. Live timing and scoring will be available in just 1 moment's time here on raceweb.tv/timing. Johnny Gindi, however, right behind Tran as they work themselves now through that left-hand flick, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, he's quite in the thick of things right now in terms of being inside this top 10 as the cars will go side by side ahead of him. That's Arjen de Freitas on the inside, trying to get the pass over Justin Tipton as they'll go side by side once again through this slow speed section. Johnny Gundi getting involved with Tran there as well, as de Freitas and Tipton have to go side by side all the way to the S's. And look at how far they've dropped back off your leading 3 now as a result.
Yeah, already the gap between Brian Lockwood in third place and Justin Tipton in fourth is up to, get this, well, 1 second on track right now. As we have a look at drivers, we've got a couple of them doing a little bit of off-roading right now. One of those was the number 47 machine by the looks of it, as they all come down towards that final corner. But you've now got battling going on. Battle going on for your race lead. This is working through lap traffic already. Felipe Lever versus Anicopa Lopez going for P number 1. Can't do so. And the thing is here, Connery, you hold that inside line, it's almost impossible to overtake on the outside unless you've really got the overspeed.
Yeah, it really requires 100% commitment if you're going to go for that sort of move, and even then it's more likely than not that it's not going to work out. So that's just the way to defend down in towards turn number 1, but coming up through towards the chute and turn number 5 again, I heard Will make a weird noise, therefore something has gone on.
Yeah, I did a whoof. That was Sharan there in P number 8 versus Jordi Lopez Jr. in P number 9 right now. That mid-pack between Justin Tipton, Johnny Guindy, Paul Zazo, Sharan, Jordi Lopez Jr. It's more of a case right now of who's going to make the mistake first here, because it is so close between them all as we work through towards the completion of lap number 3. Diego Francisco looking down to the inside of Edwin Valerino as they come down final corner.
Through the final corner they will come. This is the battle for positions just outside your top 10. Edwin Valerino will get himself alongside a little bit of lap traffic that has gotten themselves involved in this one. Rob Adams, but will we see 3 wide? I think we will see 3 wide down in towards turn number 1. This battle for P number 11 out there on circuit. Francisco down towards the inside, gets the position done and dusted coming through turn number 1 and 2.
Have you got any Fred, Connery?
Fred.
Because Diego Francisco was just the needle there through the middle.
Oh.
Look, Jake Sperry's not here.
Wow.
I have to do Sperryisms in his absence then. Borges Arze, Justin Tipton, they're going at it as they work themselves P number 6, P number 7 right now, as they work into this tricky infield section from turn number 5. I will say as well, I do love that iRacing, they've really done some great work in terms of getting the kind of like the time of day going. Even on a track like this, one of the oldest tracks in iRacing, they've managed to put that in so it looks so the sun is setting. It's a beautiful look to this racetrack.
Yeah, then it might even look make the older tracks like this look even better once we get the new lighting in terms of the day-night transitions. There's going to be some changes in terms of the lighting that goes on to make that one work. So it'll look quite a bit more beautiful in terms of the aesthetics there. As Johnny Guindy looks for a move over Iron Defeater through towards turn number 1, we'll get that pass done. So that's Johnny Guindy getting himself up into P number 4. But meanwhile, Anicopa Lopez, Felipe Leber, and Brian Lockwood, they are still in their trio.
Oh, yes, they are. And the thing is right now, it's a case of they are knowing that it would be better for them to work together. They are 1.6 right now ahead of Johnny Guindy. And having a look at the lap gaps here, yeah, Johnny Guindy's closed up the last 2 laps, but 1.7 is enough of an advantage that you do not feel the full effect of the draft. So these top 3 have got to be careful. And I think these top 3 are Copa Lopez, Leber, and Lockwood. They kind of know what they're doing, having been multiple series champions and multiple race winners in years previous. But behind, you've got Johnny Guindy, Arian Freighter. I mean, they also know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone doesn't know what they're doing, at least inside of this top 10. They are all very accomplished racers in their own right, but they're coming up through the final corner now to complete lap number 5 of 30 here. We still have that one scheduled stop to be worried about coming towards the midway point of this race, but we'll get that done once we get to that point. But Iron Defrita again looking on Johnny Guindy, and Iron Defrita is now back through. So could this also be that Iron and Johnny are just kind of working together as well now to try and try and make this second pack catch up to the front?
Well, yeah, and that's often the thing. It's a bit of an IndyCar move when you do that. You slingshot each other, because what you don't do at that point, Connor, is you don't lose time defending or attacking a pass. You just use the overspeed, and there's so much of that in these smaller skip Barber cars. And Andrea Amon, Diego Francisco, P number 10, P number 11 are close together. However, let's go back to what we talked about a moment ago. Aaron De Freitas versus Brian Lockwood. Leading pack versus second pack. Gap is now down to 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, so this second pack is closing in slightly lap by that. We'll have to see if that becomes an overall theme coming through this first stint of the race. But we'll also perhaps see this Johnny Guernsey and Ian De Freitas swap once again, coming down the pit straight to try and get that overspeed, to try and make those slingshot passes work to get themselves back up to the front of the field. We'll see Guernsey get a good run out of the final corner. We actually might see a move here for the race lead as well. Philippe Lebert looking to drive his left-hand side, coming down in towards turn number 1. He almost completes the move even before he gets on the brakes, but has to use the brakes to complete it. Cobo Lopez still on the inside there for turn number 1 and 2, and Lebert will still make it side by side by half a car length up towards turn number 3.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Lebert will have the advantage into the next corner. So can Cobo Lopez hold it on the outside line? You don't often do so. All 4 wheels there almost into the gravel. Next corner's a right-hander, but you can hold it on the outside. But will Lebert be able to hold it now into turn number 5? They're going to stay side by side. So all this whole situation of having a lead pack, that is gone down the toilet, because it's Cobo Lopez and Lebert continue to stay side by side, and Lebert finally relents. It means we once again have 10 drivers in your lead pack, and we are back to real close racing.
Side by side for 2/3 of a lap, no problems if you're Philippe Lebert and Adi Cobo Lopez. It does mean, though, as you quite rightfully mentioned, Will, that Johnny Guernsey, Ian De Freitas, Justin Tipton, Borja Zazo, Juan Tran, Dodi Lopez, and even Andrea Amon, if he gets a move on, is all in this front pack now, and they'll be looking to get themselves into the podium positions. Here comes Brian Lockwood, though. He could get the 2-for-1 special here down through the outside of turn number 1. He was P number 3 coming across the line, but now he's challenging for P number 1 over Adi Cobo Lopez. It would have been a fantastic move if he can make it. It could still be a fantastic move if he gets this pass done here coming up through turn number 3.
Lockwood versus Cobo Lopez. Lockwood's going to have the outside line into this corner. And, well, Cobo Lopez, look at that. We've got drivers kicking it off into the dust all over the place. But Lockwood has himself the race lead. Number 1, last season champion, as we've got an incident behind.
Yeah, that was a little bit of contact between Lebert and Johnny Guernsey there coming through the exit of the chute. Both cars go for a slide, but they both managed to recover it, and without a lot of lost time either. They are still firmly within this front pack, challenging for those podium positions. And wow, just thinking back to the last lap, that move that Brian Lockwood managed to make, he was 3rd coming across the start-finish line, and all of a sudden he was getting a nose into 1st coming through towards turn number 1. Brilliant move.
Yeah, and here's Turan. He runs into the back of the car, then gets pushed off the racing circuit there, and he is now down into P number 11 as a consequence of that one. And Borja Zazo, first driver to blink then on pit road, or has he just had a car? Yeah, I think he's just retired that car. He's had an incident. I think he was the driver that hit. Yeah, he's the driver that got run over by Turan. And then that 104 car, I mean, that car was so hard to handle. He's just had to put it off on the side of the racetrack.
Yeah, I don't exactly blame him, as we have side by side for the race lead once again. Adi Cobo Lopez this time on the inside through turn number 3. Brian Lockwood has been left out to dry against Philippe Lebert, as well as this front pack is just going absolutely hammer and tongs here. We might even see 3 wide down in towards turn number 5, but 2 by 2 they will stay for all 3 podium positions, and also down into P number 4 as well. Finally, they'll get single file for P number 2, but the race lead is still side by side. And then Adi Cobo Lopez not on the racing line, has to drop back, loses the race lead to Brian Lockwood, and even loses P number 2 to Johnny Guernsey there.
Yeah, let's give you a lap then of Racebot TV Fan Immersion, because we're going to go on board with your top 7 drivers, starting with Lopez as he makes a move down to the inside. starts the lap on board. A couple of drivers there, Connery. And, well, your top, I'm just having a look through it right now, top 7 are in this lead pack, although there's battles going on behind. We have got to keep an eye out on those. Edwin Valerino, for example, battling out with Diego Francisco. That is the battle going on right now for P number 9 on track.
So this is the new second pack after those front 7 cars had closed the gap back up, and maybe Andrea Amon and Diego Francisco, Edwin Valerino could potentially get themselves up into that front pack as well. So we have a basically what is a super pack right at the front of the field. If this front pack starts fighting any more than they have done, they've started to calm down just a little bit for now. All single file coming through the very, very tight and twisty turn number 5, 6, and 7 section, and up into the S's now. Still no changes. So once we have 10, 11 laps in the books like we have now, they've all just started to take a breather.
Yeah, as we've got Roman Calgary down in P number 22 here, trying to get himself past Martin Cruz. That is the battle going on with 21st place on track. Now that pit window, it's very wide here at Summit Point because of how short the lap times are. And that means that pit window effectively opens now as Brian Lockwood looking down to the inside. Oh, Johnny Gindy in towards turn number 1. Gindy versus Lockwood. Aerial coverage, they exit that one. Who's going to get the drag race? It's going to be side by side through 2, through 3 here, as it's going to be the Evolution Racing Team car. Oh, Johnny Gindy just holding on. Lockwood going a little bit too wide there, but he's able to stay on. And look at Barber. He's like a Rottweiler right now.
Barber is searching for the gap, but the gap just isn't appearing in the middle of those 2 leading cars there as they finally get themselves sorted out coming through the hairpin of turn number 5. As it's just absolutely fantastic racing that we're seeing here. Johnny Gundeep, he could say he did a track extend well, not even a little bit. He did a track extend a lot to try and keep that position there. So maybe the stewards will have a look at that one if that becomes significant at the end of the race. But yeah, that is... I'm just amazed that these guys can fight so close yet not hit each other.
Yeah, as you say, that pit window is effectively open as of now. So we will see some drivers in the next lap or 2 be brave. And Connery, they often do that if they think they're in a situation that they're not going to get themselves a decent run by themselves. But here's Lockwood again and Gindy again in towards turn number 1. Again, they come. As behind, you've also got Adecopa Lopez, Ryan Freighter, 2 teammates going at it then behind as well. This one's really starting to get interesting.
Barber also finally starting to get himself involved as well in the run down towards turn number 3, but the opportunity isn't quite there to get himself into P number 2. Gets a good run up through turn number 3 though. Could set himself up for the pass, attempted pass down the inside or the outside of turn number 5, but not able to set himself up correctly. Just has to get on the brakes and just stay in line just for now. Even further behind, we still have this scrapping in the second pack between Andrea Amon versus Tran this time as they head their way through the S's for the 13th time in this event.
Yeah, indeed. So there's a look at Brian Dwell. He's in the 12th place, and just ahead of him is Andrea Amon, who's currently running in P number 10. Retirees, Borges Arzo, Raymond Griffin, Carlos Oliveira, Pascual, and also Dario Morales Bruto. We have had a number of drivers, let's say, did start on pit road. We've got a lot of drivers, though, on towards pit road this time by. They are led by Philippe Labeur. Labeur's on pit road. Justin Tipson's on pit road. Edwin Valerino's on pit road. Tran is on pit road. So a lot of drivers blinking early, just as I suggested, as we've got a car turn around as well. That is a number 99 machine that has looped it. That is Rob Adams. He's already, however, classified as a lap down.
Yeah, so things go from bad to worse for him. So this is kind of a race to forget about for that driver, as the pit stop window is definitely open with the cars that we have had down on towards the lane. The vast majority of cars, though, have stayed out on this lap. We'll see yet more trickle in on this lap, and then the next lap, since the pit window is quite wide here, as the front pack does start to stack itself up coming through turn number 5, just absolutely nose to tail coming through that particular section. And then we'll start to see perhaps more cars heading down on towards the pit lane once they get these next couple of corners done.
Yeah, now Philippe Barber, he came out first of all of those people, and he was lucky originally, but he's not so lucky anymore. He's going to have to try and thread the needle a bit here because he's able to stay ahead of Xavi Ross on the 319 car. But now he's got Andreas Robertson, and this is what position here, Connery. Regardless of blue flag rules, this is an actual battle for position because they burst come on towards pit road. I think he's lost a second already as we've got ourselves now Adecopa Lopez on pit road. And this is going to be very crucial the next couple of moments.
It'll be very interesting to see where Adecopa Lopez comes out in relation to Philippe Barber. Adecopa Lopez just getting his pit service done. He'll get himself off and away onto the pit straight, but he's so slow. Here comes Philippe Barber down driver's left-hand side there, and Adecopa Lopez is kind of got stuck now behind the traffic that Philippe Barber got stuck behind, so he'll be affected by this as well.
Yeah, but the issue is that Xavi Ross was ahead of Adecopa Lopez as they worked through turn 1. Philippe Barber is already ahead of him, so this could be crucial because the gap is already 1.5 seconds between the two of them as they now work themselves towards that kind of infielder section again. Brian Lockwood, however, does now lead this motor race. Let's ride on board with Johnny Gindy. Let's see who's going to come in on lap number 15 of 30. Answer is not if you're P number 1, not if you're P number 2, not if you're P number 3, not if you're P number 4.
And not if you're P number 5, 6, 7. But if you're P number 8, well, this is your time to pit. There's Devon Singh now down on towards the lane. Yes. Just yes.
Look, it is WWE Super Slam tonight, so I'm surprised we haven't yet mentioned it across the Racesport TV or iRacing Esports Network, but it is. So, Devon Singh on towards pit road. He is out and away. Pit stop time for him is going to be 14.2 seconds as he circulates back out onto track. In terms of Adecopa Lopez, get this one. He is still behind Xavi Ross. As the gap between Xavi Ross and Adecopa Lopez is 1.5 seconds right now. Xavi Ross has actually instead just jumped onto the rear of Philippe Barber. I mean, he's like a kind of like tick right now on a cat.
Yeah, exactly. Xavi Ross just using the faster cars to his advantage, just sitting in their slipstream, just allowing the cars that are faster through the corners to just drag him all the way back down the pit straight, which is a pretty good strategy if you're one of these drivers that does race further down the fields, and especially in these Skip Barber cars where the draft effect is so huge. But we've got a couple of other drivers down on towards the lane as well. Johnny Gindy, we've got Jordi Lopez Jr. as well, deciding now's the time to get their service done. Ian DeFruja and Brian Lockwood, they were actually briefly fighting across the line, but DeFruja will get himself towards the race lead. Brian Lockwood has to settle for second at the moment as these cars still haven't pitted. They're going to go one more as well.
Yeah, but Johnny Gindy and Jordi Lopez Jr. have pitted, and they come out on way in 11.5 and 12.3 seconds respectively. Also had Mick McCormick on pit road. More importantly, though, is noting just how far ahead Jordi Lopez Jr. is over Philippe Barber. The gap is 2.1.
Philippe Barber and Adecopa Lopez have just lost a ton of time, and I mean a ton of time, getting stuck in that traffic after their pit stops, and has resulted in them definitely being on the back foot now for the rest of this race. Justin Tipton also getting himself involved in that sort of traffic as well. Diogo Francisco as well, having pitted, is also behind Adecopa Lopez at this point. So this has really thrown a spanner in the works in terms of that battle for the race leads. It seems the later that you pit, the better it seems to be in terms of the traffic.
You do often see that in the 2K World Cup, but it's also worth noting as your two leaders coming towards pit road, how much fuel are they going to put in, how bold are they going to be. De Freitas and Brian Lockwood almost side by side coming on towards pit road. Who is going to have the win as they come out? We have a look then at the camera on pit road. You got Lockwood. His pit stop time is going to come up for you now. Up to 10, 11, 12 seconds. And well, Lockwood will come out where he came in. Second place, Ian De Freitas will come out with what might likely be a race lead. But Gindy looks to the outside. Goodbye. I'll see you later.
fantastic pit stop cycle for Johnny Ginty, and Jordi Lopez Jr. also gets himself P2. So that pair of cars that came down on towards the lane together have been at the exact right time to get themselves in P1 and P2.
Yeah, as it stands right now, Jordi Lopez Jr. makes it a 1-2-3, Connery, for the Evolution Racing team.
Absolutely brilliant effort. Same livery, different colors on those machines, but an absolutely fantastic strategy through that pit stop cycle has put them in a prime position to take a 1-2-3 finish. But Brian Lockwood and Philippe Lebert not too far behind at all. Adico Lopez starting to get into the pace that we're used to seeing from him as well. So this definitely isn't over, but ERT in such a good position.
They are indeed, as Diego Francisco running in P8 right now versus Justin Tipton. That's going on for 7th place on track. And, well, this one is one that keeps on just drawing my eye for a lap, then falling away for a lap, then coming back here. So, Connery, P7 here. Tipton is trying to just cement a position right now over that TT Racing car, Diego Francisco. The two of them working maybe together, maybe apart from each other. Two different teams, of course. Sorry, one team, because Tipton's on that same TT Racing team. And, of course, they have got Adecopa Lopez just 4 tenths ahead of him.
Yeah, meanwhile, Philippe Lebert and Brian Lockwood did swap for position, coming down towards turn number 1. Same with Ian De Fruita and Jordi Lopez Jr. As ERT, they'll be grinning from ear to ear like Daniel Ricciardo for the after that fantastic sort of section of the race where the pit stops were going on, putting themselves in this sort of position. But Philippe Lebert and Brian Lockwood behind. Lebert is actually 2 tenths of a second faster than Jordi Lopez Jr. that last time. Iron De Fruita was marginally faster by about 1/10 of a second. So Lebert and Lockwood still have the pace here, and they're still sort of catching the tail end of the draft from the two ERT cars ahead.
We're going to take a quick 2-minute break here on Racesport TV on iRacing Live, side by side, back after this.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jordi Lopez Jr. on board of him right now as he hunts down Arian de Freitas. Worth noting, though, Connery, that Johnny Guindy has pulled out a 1.9 second gap as it stands, as Jordi Lopez Jr. will look down to the inside of Arian de Freitas, and he will make that move up into 2.
The rest of this pack behind, though, is starting to catch Johnny Guindy, so he has to be a little bit careful he doesn't fall back into the clutches of the school of piranhas behind him, I believe is the correct term for that sort of thing. But Jordi Lopez Jr. now, as you mentioned, up into P number 2 over Arian de Freitas, and de Freitas kind of slow coming out of turn number 3, gives the opportunity to Liber potentially as they get very close coming down through there. But right now, down in towards turn number 5, everything stays at the status quo just for now. Brian Lockwood on the back of this train for P number 2. What can he do with the pace that he's shown throughout this race?
Yeah, Justin Tipton, Adacopa Lopez, Diego Francisco gunning out in what is again becoming your second pack here. Kind of over the course of 2-3 laps here, Copa Lopez has tried to close back up, but now he's got to think, do I push hard and risk losing positions, or do I just consolidate where I am? Because with Copa Lopez, this is a very tough score.
It is at the front of what is the second pack here. Justin Tipton very close behind, but this front pack is going to decide to mix things up as Philippe Lebert will get himself towards driver's right-hand side of Arian de Freitas. Brian Lockwood looking for the free wide, but not able to make it work there. Coming down in towards turn number 1, Lebert on the inside, de Freitas on the outside line coming through turns 1 and 2. Brian Lockwood will look to gain himself the position as a result of Arian de Freitas having to take a compromised line coming through turns 1 and 2, but outside it has to be for Lockwood. He carries a lot of momentum around there, out into the gravel, but manages to get it done.
Yeah, we have got to talk about, of course, the incident limit that exists for all 2K races. And turn number 3 is that one corner. It's a bit like Pouin, I say, at Spa, where drivers get more incident points than they realize. And then over the last few laps, they think, wait a minute, I've got to make sure I can get to the end of this event.
Yeah, these guys have 20 incidents that they're able to get before they get disqualified from this one, which is actually 3 more than you get in an official iRacing race, or at least usually in those types of things. So a little bit more leeway, but those incident points do add up if you get a couple of bits of car contact, and then all of a sudden you're on like 18 incidents and have to save for the next couple of laps. But Johnny Guindy, he's been reeled in now by this pack. Jordi Lopez Jr. able to make this move down towards the inside, coming up towards turn number 1. Lebert wanting to get in on the action as well.
Yep, so that is Jordi Lopez Jr. taking the race lead away in towards turn number 1 right now. Philippe Lebert second, Johnny Guindy third, Brian Lockwood fourth, and then Arian de Freitas rounds out your top 5. So that whole lead story we're talking about, well, that one is gone and dusted. But the thing is, this is not like a normal 2K World Cup race where you wait until the last couple of laps to make a move. You've got to do it one at a time in most circumstances, Connery.
Yeah, you really do. Even though it is a very, very long pit streak here, the actual finish line is actually sort of in the first half of the pit straight. So even if you get a good run out of turn number 1, you can't really guarantee the pass coming across the finish line for the end of the event. So you kind of need to do it a little bit earlier there, as Philippe Lebert gestures towards driver's right-hand side, just trying to put Jordi Lopez Jr. into a position he doesn't want to be in, of always thinking about that car behind and if he'll make a move down the inside. But here comes the run now from Lebert. This will be a good sign to see if cars can make the pass before the line. Close, but not close, but close, but no cigar there for Philippe Lebert. So these passes will have to be done, not coming across the line.
I made it 33 1,000ths of a second. What do you have, Connery? 2x2 deep is what you have.
Yeah, 2x2 deep. Jordi Lopez Jr., Philippe Lebert, Brian Lockwood, Johnny Guindy, as Guindy has dropped back to 4th place position here, but Lebert and Jordi Lopez Jr. heading their way through turn number 3. Lebert is going to have to push wide out onto the gravel here. Still an opportunity, though, for Lopez Jr. coming up towards the chute now. Has to be outside, but that becomes the inside. Oh, that's so close there. But fantastic momentum there for Jordi Lopez Jr. Lebert squarely on the brakes as well. Jordi Lopez Jr. really making a statement.
He is indeed, as we have a look then from the rear of that car. Number 186 car from New Jersey. He's got 2 series champions behind him in Philippe Burr, multi-series champion, and then also Brian Lockwood, number 1 machine, last season's champion, in towards the final corner when there'll be 5 laps to go at the line. You got a person in your head yet that you think's going to win this one? Because I ain't.
I don't either. It could be any one of these, well, at least top 3, maybe even extending down to top 7, top 8 that could potentially become the race winner at the end. Here we go. 3 wide for the race lead. Liebert right in the middle of this one. Lockwood has to go a long way around the outside of turn number 1 and 2. Jordi Lopez Jr. also fighting him back on the exit as well. Careful not to drift up the track there, Jordi, as he'll battle with Lockwood down towards 3.
Yeah, so, oh, look at that one. Nice move there by Brian Lockwood to secure that second position. Behind, we have still got Diego Francisco versus Justin Tipton going on. Because we know that by the time they get into this corner, your lead pack will settle down for a minute. Let's talk about Tipton versus Francisco.
Yeah, let's talk about that one, as they have also been scrapping while these leaders have been doing the same as well. And as a result of those leaders scrapping, they've actually hooked themselves right onto the back of this leading train. And if you're this leading train, with the way this race is going at the moment, you might be on the podium when it comes towards the end of the last lap.
Well, and also, you've got to consider here, Brian Lockwood is the outlier because you've got TT Racing, then you got Brian Lockwood. And then you've got yourself Evolution Racing Team in 3rd. In 4th place, Johnny Gindy, Evolution Racing Team. Arjen de Freitas running in the 5th position is from Evolution Racing Team. Behind Anicopa Lopez. Guess what team he is?
Is that a Evolution Racing Team livery?
Are you going to call it Evolution while I call it Evolution? Is that what we come down to?
I mean, regional accents, regional differences.
And then you got Justin Tipton and Diego Francisco. Oh, this is close right now. 2nd place going on. They make contact. Number 1 machine makes contact with the number 186 car, and they somehow manage to keep it together.
Oh, it was also a little bit of a moment there behind from Anicopa Lopez. He'll actually get challenged right now around the outside at turn number 5 by Justin Tipton, but Tipton not able to make that move work, as these guys have just been scrapping out for the entire race, the entire 27 laps that we've had. They'll go for the entire 30, no doubt. And coming towards the final few laps here, there's going to be no holds barred.
Yeah, on board of Anicopa Lopez, so we can see him. He's falling down into 6th place as it stands right now. But all of a sudden, Philippe Burr leads this motor race over Jordi Lopez Jr. The gap is 0.3 of a second. As they come past the start-finish line, they work themselves to 3 to go. And here we are then, ERT to the outside with the driver of Jordi Lopez Jr. But Philippe Burr will hold that inside line like we so often see here at Summit Point.
Yeah, they will. And once again, side by side, but that drops in single file once they get towards turn number 3. Further behind, though, Anicopa Lopez versus Arjen de Freitas versus also Diego Francisco as well. That one is going on as well as this pack starts to split up again. It's a leading trio, so that's a pleasing symmetry so far this race. It was a leading trio at the start. It's a leading trio heading towards the end of this race as well.
It is, as we're going to have 2 laps to go at the line. Philippe Burr leads from Brian Lockwood, Jordi Lopez Jr. 3rd, Johnny Gindy 4th, Arjen de Freitas 5th, Anicopa Lopez in 6th, Diego Francisco, Justin Tipton, they round out your top 8. I do want to very quickly show you this graphic left-hand side of your screen right now, because it shows how many positions Jordi Lopez Jr. is up. He's up a minimum of 10 places here today. He is now up 10 places because he just lost a position to Brian Lockwood. I will say one thing though, Lockwood versus Burr, we had this last season. We're seeing it again. This is what I love about the 2K World Cup. They are not afraid to go to difficult track combinations, almost free wide and towards turn number 1.
And also Lockwood going for the 2 cars in 1 corner pass once again. He pulled it off earlier on in the race, so why not try it again around the outside at turn number 1, but just not able to make it work. These 3 cars at the front can just now fight for the race win, which order the podium will be in. But meanwhile, these cars in the second pack are absolutely scrapping it out as well. Adicopa Lopez versus Iron DeFruta once again down towards turn number 5. Oh, that's going to be so close between DeFruta and Lopez, but now Francisco is going to get himself involved around the outside of 5, becomes the inside for 6, but not able to hold it.
Yeah, Copa Lopez then will hold, get himself 6th position. Diego Francisco 7th, and Iron DeFruta up into 5th place in that battle. However, we are down to the white flag lap here. There are your top, there's your movers and shakers one more time up on your screen, but here is a look at your top 3 drivers, separated by half a second. They come to the white flag, and this is where we're most likely to see a pass. Here comes Lockwood to the outside, in towards turn number 1. Can he get enough momentum? And you've got yourself Jordi Lopez Jr. to the outside as well. But now Leber's trying to hold it around. Contact between Lopez and the driver Philippe Leber. Almost bumped him through the corner there.
He did make contact, and once again challenge for the race lead up towards turn number 3. Lockwood looking for the outside, looking for the cutback move through turn number 3 as well. Leber has no momentum off the corner. Here comes Lockwood once again down through the chute, has to complete the move on the brakes, down in towards the heavy braking zone of turn number 5. Outside line for Lockwood, not able to quite hold it though.
Yeah, and from here on in, it's all about what you can get over the next 4 corners. It's Leber from Lockwood, from Lopez Jr. They exit the Mickey Mouse section of this racetrack. We're going to go on board with 2nd place. Can Lockwood do anything in the last 500 yards of this race? He looks, he sneaks, he thinks, but he can't do so. Through the final corner, can he get the run to the start-finish line? The answer is going to be, it's going to be close, but the answer is going to be no. Lockwood draws alongside. Can he do it? No, he can't. Philippe Leber will win here at Summit Point.
Oh, an absolutely fantastic race. Philippe Leber taking the race win from 2nd on the grid, but was challenged all the way to the flag by Brian Lockwood. Fantastic racing, especially at the front of the field. That's what the 2K World Cup is all about. And the rest of the runners will head their way across the line. Pretty close for P number 23 between Carlos Fenno and Enzo Cantor, as Cantor will try to do what Brian Lockwood couldn't, and he actually does gain the position there.
Yeah, indeed so. So that was Philippe Leber winning the race, but there was still battles going on behind. Let's replay the tape, Connery. Tell us what you see.
Well, we'll see the replay up on screen for you now. This is the battle between, I believe these are the cars of, there's kind of a mess coming off the final corner there as we see the battles towards the start-finish line. That wasn't quite the battle that I was looking at. It was the one between the 924 and the 323 that were very close across the line, but there are multiple very close finishes throughout the field just looking at that.
On board of the 924 car.
Here we go then, down in towards the final turn. They will come. Enzo Cantor trying to take the outside, and the car ahead of Carlos Fenno kind of really concerned about the inside line, but a fantastic run off the corner by Enzo Cantor. This is a repeat move that Brian Lockwood tried to make, but Enzo Cantor able to make it work, whereas Brian Lockwood has to settle for P number 2.
Crazy race here in the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulations. Let's have a look at your final race results. Philippe Leber wins then by 28 1/1000ths of a second over Brian Lockwood. Jordi Lopez Jr. in 3rd, Diego Francisco 4th, and Justin Tipton rounds out your top 5. Iron DeFruta in 6th, Adicopa Lopez in 7th, Johnny Gindi, Greg Seat, Paul Malocas. They are your top 10, Connery.
Yes, they are. And a fantastic battling all inside the top 10 as well. And as we have some big movers there, we had Jordi Lopez Jr., you had Diogo Francisco, you had also Greg Seitz as well. But looking further back, P number 11, Edwin Valerino. You've got Andrea Amon getting herself P at number 12, which is a decent result. Got Tuan Tran there, dropping back a little bit to P number 13. Devin Singh, P number 14, fantastic mover in this race since he started P number 22. Another good mover as well, Scott Velez there, P number 15 after starting P number 23. Same with Martin Cruz as well, P number 13 to P number 16. But someone who stayed exactly where they started, that was Chris Malcolm there, P number 17. Lucas Loyate, P number 18. Anthony Capp, P number 19. And Mike McCormick will round out your top 20.
There are the rest of the results coming up on your screen. Pima Tanides, he started from pit road after what I believe was an infraction, as he only finishes P number 25. But, well, that's the whole thing. You know, you get yourself incident points, Conway, you pay the consequence, and it's not just, you know, a start penalty thing. And a track like this, it's going to hurt you all race long because the lap times are so small.
And especially with a field so big as well, it just means you have to wait a little bit longer to get yourself started and get yourself off the pit lane. And there's just a lot more traffic to deal with at the back of the field. You just have to try to pick your way through. And a track where it's not that easy to pass, even though we have seen side-by-side action throughout the field, going side-by-side just means you're going so much slower. And at this track, that could really kill your pace. So I'm not surprised that Fahim was only able to manage P number 25.
We're going to take a quick break here, ladies and gentlemen, on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. We'll be back with more after these messages. You're watching the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Wonky! Down to the inside of Hookie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my
Welcome to post-race coverage here from Summit Point and from the 2K World Cup, presented by DES Simulation. I've got a race winner here. He's Philippe Leber. Well, Philippe, it was a very tough race, but you did win in the end. You're not Enzo Cantor, you're Philippe Leber.
Yeah, I'm still shaking. It was, well, this race, strategy my ass. Can I say that? Because
yeah.
It's from lap 1 until the 30th lap, it was craziness, fighting for every inch. I'm surprised that nobody touched. Or, well, we did touch a few times, but that nobody really crashed. And well, kudos to everyone who was involved, because that was just awesome stuff.
Now, this race, as I say, it's often one of the most difficult in the 2K World Cup because it's not the draft lot track. It's not the, oh, you can go free wide if you want. It's a track where the first half of it, yeah, it's easy. You can race that. The second half, you've got to be patient. Where did you find the ability to get out front?
Like I said, there was no strategy, nothing at all. Just trying to go as fast as I could and stay in the top 3. That was critical, because once you're shuffled back and you start fighting, then you can easily lose the pack, which is what happened, I think, in the race, because I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening behind us. But it was just on 110% all the way. No strategy, just go, go, go.
Well, you are your winner here today. In terms of the championship, I know you hate me talking about this, but in terms of the championship, how are you feeling right now? Because coming into this event, you're down in P number 5 in the championship. You had a long way to go, a race victory, and beating a lot of people ahead of you. How does that make you feel in terms of maybe taking back that number 1 car?
Well, at least my championship is still alive. After the last 2 races where I had 0 points, I wasn't so sure, but now I have a little bit of hope. I had a 3rd place, a 2nd place, and now 1st place, so there's nowhere else to go than to keep on winning.
The only way is up. Thank you, Elite. Before we let you go, who want to give a shout out to from that TT Racing team?
I want to thank our league sponsor, of course, DES Simulation. There were some issues, but they're back, and so they're here to stay. Thank you.
Well, Philippe Leber, ladies and gentlemen, TT Racing getting themselves the victory here today. 2nd place, Brian Lockwood stood by with Connery Maddock.
Yeah, and Brian, a fairly decent result for you today, and well, P number 2. It's going to be a very good points haul for you. And how are you feeling about that one? Because it was only, well, 27 thousandths of a second at the end there to Philippe Leber. It could have been a race win.
Yeah, it could have been, but I have to say, Connery, I'm really happy with how today went. From the start, I made up a spot, and top 3 sort of broke away. I was just like Philippe, just focused on staying in that top 3. Managed to get a couple bonus points from lead laps, and the fuel strategy was really interesting, actually. A lot of people underfueled, which worked in my and Philippe's favor. It seemed like I lost a little bit of grip somewhere. I don't know if I overheated my tires or I got a little bit of damage somewhere, but in the second half of the race, Philippe was a lot faster than me through the 2nd sector. So I can't complain. You know, 2nd place is just a really good result, and we needed that.
It is, and what is it about this track as a driver, do you think, that it plays host to this type of racing, where everyone is just nose to tail, attempting side-by-sides, but the thing is, the side-by-sides just mean you're going slower. So what is it about that track that kind of lends itself to that?
Well, you know, in the 2K Cup, everyone's always really close. There are a lot of really great drivers in this series. But Summit Point in particular, the times really get condensed. And that, combined with the way the track is, you know, it's possible to go too wide through a lot of the track, but really, really difficult. And so you tend to see a lot of side-by-side racing that loses a lot of time. And it's a really fun track to race on because there's that long straightaway, which is an obvious passing opportunity. And then going through the S's, as we saw, a lot of people went side-by-side through there. And either lane could win there, going into the hairpin, and even going into the last corner. So there are just a lot of opportunities to get in there and start having some wheel-to-wheel battles.
Yeah, there is, and in terms of the championship as well, you still have yourself in a good position up there. But the thing is, you did, of course, lose points to Philippe this time. So coming into the next couple of rounds now, you're feeling confident that you can set up your set up another challenge for the championship like you got last season.
I am. For the championship, both Philippe and I really needed this result because the day was starting to run away with it. But this helps us get back in the fight. And, you know, I'm not going to make a prediction. I think all of us have the potential to win, but it's definitely anybody's game.
Absolutely. Everyone in that front pack was just racing in an absolutely fantastic fashion and deserves to be where they are. But is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to everybody at Racecraft Engineering. Great group of guys. Thanks to you guys for the awesome broadcasts, and Philippe for some great racing today and for doing all the hard work running the league.
Can I ask you one more question before we let you go? How does it feel to be the kind of lone wolf in amongst ERT and TT racing madness?
Well, frankly, I'm used to it. This season I do have Andrew Precario helping me out in the front pack, but unfortunately he wasn't able to make this race. I think he had a conflict with a real-life event. But, you know, it's just a matter of making sure I'm always in a good position and not making, you know, as long as I don't make any major mistakes and get shuffled back too badly, I won't have too much pressure from, you know, for example, Arjan and Johnny working together in front of me to keep me behind. So it's difficult, but I make it work.
Brian Lockwood, ladies and gentlemen, here from the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Jordi Lopez Jr. is here. Connery, take it away.
Yeah, I'm standing by with Jordi as well, and that is a fantastic effort throughout the entire race there, Jordi, because you got yourself up from P number 13 in qualifying all the way up onto that third step on the podium. How did you do it?
I honestly do not know. At first, I thought that like we lost the trio pack in the first few laps, and then I had my teammates kind of help the pack to get together, and like I don't know, like after the pit stops, I was 2 seconds ahead of Felipe, and I honestly don't know how, but after that I knew that I just had to manage, and from there I somehow got P3.
I can tell you that because Philippe will also attest to this as well. They got a little bit held up behind a couple of cars. Same with Koba Lopez as well, which did give you the advantage, and it's one that you really did need as well to get yourself back up inside that top three. So that is a good result for you. And in terms of how congested that the track had been out there today, it kind of really lends itself to wheel-to-wheel racing all throughout the field. And the 2K series does that already, but this track just means that everyone is just so close together, like Brian explains, that you kind of just had to fight amongst yourselves for every single position, don't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it was not easy to pass cars. Like if you're stuck in a train, it's pretty much like impossible to get by someone if they have draft.
Yeah, it is. And how confident are you feeling going into the next couple of races as well now with how this result has gone? Do you think there could be more podium finishes in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to stay consistent and just score decent points every week. The first 2 rounds have been kind of tough. Like, I had two DNFs, so that's 2 drops already gone for me. So I can't afford to waste my 3rd drop right now.
Yeah, you really do have to conserve those drop weeks for perhaps later on in the season when it's crunch time. But is there any sponsor shout-outs that you want to give a mention to?
Sure. ERT helps me out a lot. Johnny, Arjun, JRT, GTI, and like modem simulations. They do. They like help us out too. Freaking Logitech. Who else am I missing? PJ. and like that's about it.
Well, there we go. That is about it for Jordi Lopez Jr. finishing P3 after a fantastic charge through the field after the start.
He does indeed. We've also got then a couple of drivers from the Evolution Racing team still to talk to. They are going to be Johnny Gundy. But first, Arian De Freitas, P6 here today. How's it feel?
Could have been better. I mean, yeah, this is the 2nd time today I screwed up fuel. First in the 24 hours of Le Mans, and now here. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed on myself today, but yeah, it happens.
In terms of you and the championship and everything else going around it, I mean, you're kind of 4th place coming into this event. You might lose 4th place coming out of it to Philippe Barber, but it's still wide open in terms of kind of the way this championship is. And I would argue this could actually be one of the most interesting championships I think we've seen.
It's pretty close. I mean, it hasn't been this close with this these amount of people in a long while, I think. But yeah, in terms of championship, I don't know. I expect to be like a father the next time around, so who knows?
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
An Evolution Racing team versus TT Racing. I love this storyline that's going on right now. I mean, you kind of seem to be on the winning end, and then the losing end, on the winning end, the losing end. But how does it feel to be a part of this big rivalry going on right now?
Yeah, it's nice. It's fun. I mean, at least we have some team game going against each other. I mean, the 12 hours of Watkins was awesome to do, and I'd like to see more team races in the Skippies because it's just awesome, and it doesn't matter that much if you're a bit slower than another driver. And I mean, in other cars it matters a bit more. Here, the draft can fix a lot. But yeah, the rivalry, it's pretty well spread, I think. Philippe has the edge now over us, but we'll definitely fight back.
Well, ERT sponsors, who gets it done?
Obviously, I first want to thank my girlfriend. I mean, she's 39 weeks pregnant now, and I'm still gonna be able to race. And I mean, I can be called away anytime. So shout out to her, and obviously to the rest of the team. Like Jordi said already, we're doing an awesome job, and it's good fun.
Well, thank you very much. Arian De Freitas. Johnny Gundy is stood by with Connery.
Yeah, and Johnny, it was kind of a mixed race for you when all is said and done. You did at one point lead this race after the pit stops were done, but you kind of fell back a little bit. Just take us through what happened there.
Yeah, it was bittersweet, but in the end I had a bunch of fun. I was laughing pretty hard at the last lap because I pretty much ran out of fuel way earlier than I expected. I knew I would run out of fuel, but I had no idea I would run out of fuel at the start of the S's. So that was a bit tragic. But yeah, before that, the main issue was that I always do my fuel calculations in liters before the race. So I'll just write it down on a notebook next to my sim rig, and I'll just look at it as I'm driving. But the thing is, because I always do it in liters, I forgot to change iRacing over from gallons into liters. So I had to sort of do a very rough conversion and sort of guess how much fuel I needed. So I definitely underestimated the number, and yeah, I had to save like 0.25 gallons worth of fuel in that second stint of the race, and that's like 3/4 of a lap. So yeah, it was tough. I couldn't manage it in the end, but I still had fun. At the start, qualifying was a bit was very disappointing because I got a knock track on the second lap, and that lap would have been good for pole. It was a very low 99, so it would have been good for pole. But I got a knock track, so it doesn't really matter. But on that first stint, I still, I think I started 9th, and by lap 9 or 10, I think I was already up to the lead. So that was pretty fun to do. But yeah, in hindsight, should have taken just 0.1 more gallons worth of fuel, and the race would have been very different for me.
Your struggles with the unit conversions there do remind me of a European Space Agency Mars lander that got mixed up. There were some components on that spacecraft that were assuming Imperial units, yet it was a European spacecraft, so they all calculated it with metric, and then that lander unfortunately did crash. Unfortunately, you didn't crash as a result of that mistake, but how important is sort of the fuel strategy in this series, since, of course, I don't broadcast this series much. I'm just standing in for the one and only Jake Sperry at the moment, but I just also heard about some people potentially underfueling the cars for the start as well. Just to take us through the thought processes in that.
Yeah, it's super important, because particularly at tracks like this one, where I mean you do have draft, and it's hard to lose people if they're in your draft, but at the same time it's not the easiest thing in the world to pass a guy if they know which lanes to defend. So you really need to force the issue if you want to get a pass done. So whenever you have a track like that where it's not the easiest thing in the world to pass, but you also get quite a lot of draft, fuel becomes very important, because it's a lot easier to just jump a guy during the pit stops. Because just saving 0.1 gallons worth of fuel during your first stint will save you at least half a second in the pits. And if a guy's half a second behind you when you enter the pits, when you come out, if you have a good out lap, they won't be in your draft anymore. So it's super important to just really focus on having good in laps, good out laps, and saving as much as you can on that first stint. But obviously, there's the great thing about the skip is that you can take different approaches. You can go pretty much balls to the wall, and not really worry too much about that. Try to get as many points as you can by leading the race in the first stint. And then making your way back up in the second stint. So it's just different strategies, but in the end, you can win either way.
Yeah, different ways of going about it, and well, we've already had the sponsor from ERT. Is there anyone else other than them that supports you in these races?
No, just a shout out to Arjen in this particular race, because we at the start we had maybe I think it was a 1.9 second gap to the top 3, and just by leapfrogging with Arjen, we were able to get back to that lead back. So it was really good teamwork. And then at the end, had I not run out of fuel as early as I did, Arjen was doing an amazing job fending off a die. I mean, everyone on that train was fuel saving, but he still did a great job fending him off and giving me a little bit more breathing room to save just a tiny bit more fuel. So that was really good teamwork in this particular race.
Yeah, good teamwork, and always great to have teammates that can help you out a little bit there, Will.
Yeah, indeed. So thank you very much there, Johnny Gindy. That is all we've got time for then from the 2K World Cup here tonight. Thank you to everyone who has been a part of our broadcast, not only today, but also in terms of the entire weekend. My final thoughts is Robert Wickens, get safe, buddy. Horrible crash, of course, the Pocono. As far as we're aware, alert and awake, but I mean, this is a future IndyCar champion here in our midst, and hopefully he will be back on the track before we know it. Thank you to, of course, our partners. He gets the jobs done for us. It's my Balao, TrackCam22.com, Andres Warner, and One Design. Simon Grossman at engineering.com for our development. Live time and scoring by Nick Thisson as ever. That guy has been Connery Maddock. I've been Will Vincent. It's been a double header. We've enjoyed it. Good night from Summit Point.